Okay. Hour over 10-minute time limit. um, no, but you can make. Honestly, I think originally the plan was to have the front-facing camera, what is it they're calling it, FaceTime or whatever,
right,
be 3G accessible. I still think it was only going to be iPhone 4 to iPhone 4. I don't think they ever had any intention of enabling that to work with the Mac and Windows machines and Skype and other things.
Well, that makes perfect sense to me, because if a person...
Well, that makes...
If one person buys it, you can't use it alone. You'd have to have two of them, so...
Well, yeah, so
You're basically going to double the sales, in theory anyway.
Well, it's like... My problem is with working only on Wi-Fi, I have Skype here. If I'm somewhere where I have Wi-Fi, I'm somewhere where I have Skype, and the computer does this job a lot better. Now, I can see the advantage of just, I have my little device, and, we're one step closer to our Gene Roddenberry globals. But, and I honestly think the intent was originally to go to 3D, but that's like, this is part of a bigger problem, and this is the problem with all of these things, not just the Apple thing. Skype has this problem. What I keep waiting for is all of these voice over IP and video over IP solutions to make the same transition that email made in the early 90s. Early to late 90s, because it's people. For those of you who are too young to remember this, originally, if I was an email service A, I could only email accounts that were on email service A, and I had to get an email service B account to email service B accounts. I keep waiting for them to agree upon some standardized protocol so I can call someone on iChat from Skype and vice versa, and just I just need to know your @ extension or whatever they adopt to tell it where stuff is. Instead, there's...
Kind of like Skype.
Yeah, but Skype does that, but it's piggybacking on the old phone system.
Right.
It's if you want to call outside of the Skype system, you have to go through the standard telephone system, which then doesn't handle the video feeds, at least right now. Who knows? It might change at some future point, and I still think it's worth doing. But I would prefer to be moving towards a purely, standardized protocol solution where it doesn't matter. I pay them the one price, whatever, and then they're truly competing against each other. Let's face it. If you're going to use a service like that right now, there's dozens of competitors for Skype, but none of them have the same penetration that Skype does, so you're going to use Skype. Unless you're on one of these boxes where Skype doesn't work. And, what is it? Skype announced last month that they were going to be doing full video by the end of this year. And they're going to be doing it on... I don't know if Apple's going to approve it or not, because that'll be interesting to see, because Skype said it's not going to be a Verizon exclusive anymore. Skype's going to be able to do video, and it's going to be released to all Android devices. It's going to actually be in the Android marketplace instead of just on the Verizon Droid, which I think is a good thing. It'll be interesting to see if Skype video winds up on the iPhone 2, and if it can access the front-facing camera, if Apple wants to make them build it on top of FaceTime. It'll be interesting. That'll be interesting.
I just have to wonder, though.
Well, the problem is that Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I just have to wonder how many different ways are there to video chat, like with FaceTime. Basically, you're looking at my face, I'm looking at yours, we're having a conversation.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. How many different ways are there to mix that up, to mash that up?
Well, there aren't, but what I'm wondering is if Apple will allow that or not, is because of that, duplicates Apple functionality clause and everything else.
Well, they're saying that it's going to be an open API on the iOS. to what degree is it going to be open?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you could. Well, that's the same thing about iAds too.
Right.
Because it's iAds is open and we have metrics for everyone, unless you're our competition. Apple fanboys have already started going nuts over that. It's like, well, Google, you came into Apple space. How dare you complain that they want to lock you out now? You didn't think you could toad at Steve Jobs. You can guess who I'm quoting here. Like, you didn't think you could toad at Apple at your I.O. conference and there not be a punishment for that. But I do think there's real trust issues with doing that. I mean, that would be the equivalent for my cable TV advertises DirecTV and Dish all the time.
Oh yeah, mine does too.
Yeah, it's like no matter what network you're on, you're going to get commercials for the competitors, and that's a good thing because if you're overpaying, you should.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, but with this iAd thing, it's basically no. You can't advertise with AdMob because Google owns them, and Google's at some level in competition with the iOS. Therefore, they're not allowed in there. And the same applies to anything Microsoft owns and so on and so forth. And advertising without access to the metrics, I'm sorry, is worthless. They're not saying they can't advertise, they're saying they can't have any access to the metrics, which then what's the point? Because that's how you charge for advertising.
Sure.
So I honestly don't know. I mean, do you agree on that, or do you think they have a valid clause for saying Google can't have access to those metrics? Because it's not like they're saying they can't advertise. It's just...
No, I mean, I don't agree with that at all. I think that most people, they don't realize that you can get AdMob ads on your iPhone right now by just simply opening Safari and going to a site that's running.
Well, no, and there are some apps in the iPhone that have those. I agree with Steve Jobs' logic that nobody clicked on them because the iPhone didn't allow multitasking. If you clicked on it, you closed your app. That was never a problem on my phone, but that's... So, I guess that's why the AdMob statistics showed more people in Android were clicking on ads than Apple, and I think that's one of the things Apple was trying to address. But it's... I don't see... If Apple's going to take that stance, they need to figure out a way to allow AdMob ads and other ads to run inside the iAds system in the same way Google lets ads that Google has nothing to do with run in Google ad systems. Because if I'm using AdSense or other things like that, the ad doesn't have to be in any way relationship from Google. It's like they're just providing a metric system, and that's really what an ad system is. Apple's selling a metric system, so they need to figure out a way to open that and let anyone everywhere access that and just collect their share. Otherwise, I don't see it. It's creating issues. Crap, we're up on time. Pause a second.